Welcome back to Adventure and Repeat. Glad to see you here. Today, we are here to talk about the top 10 things you need on your boat, especially for first time users. So, if this is your first time here, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel because we've got a lot of great content coming out and we've got a lot of great content on there. So, be sure to check some of that stuff out. So, as a note, we are not sponsored by anybody, so everything we're showing you here is things that we personally bought, things that we personally use. So if you like what you see, all the links for everything will be in the description, so you can go purchase it yourself if you want. We're not sponsored by anybody for this. So, first thing to start out with, life jackets. Everybody on a boat needs to have a life jacket. Safety first. Kids especially, they also need to have life jackets. Life jackets for kids are specifically for their size. They say on them, and they also tell you the weights that it go by. So you need to have a proper life jacket for the kid. Just because it fits does not mean it's proper. Adult life jackets, yeah, could work, but they are not proper for their size, so you need to have one that is properly sized for them. Yes, I know they don't like to wear them, but having things that they fit and they sometimes having them pick the one they want out will make it a lot easier for you when you're out on the water. Also, a first aid kit. Bumps, scrapes, bruises, cuts, and tears, they all happen on the water. It's just part of it. So it's always good to have some sort of first aid kit on the boat. We just simply bought a case and filled it with the things that we thought we needed and things that work for us. You can do the same for yourself, or you can simply buy a pre-made first aid kit, but you always want to have one on the boat because nobody wants somebody bleeding all over their boat. That's just what it is. So a first aid kit is a good thing to have. Another thing, air horn. For signaling somebody, if you're broke down along the channel and you're just waving around, you want to have a signal horn to get in contact with them and flag them down. Also, a flare gun kit. You can get just emergency marine kits. They're pretty simple, pretty cheap. And flares. I like the flare gun, so when you're on the big water and a long ways away from somebody, you shoot those up in the sky, somebody will see that a lot more than just having the flare that you wave at the ground water level. So a flare gun kit is a great thing to have. It's very cheap. They do expire. That is the one trick with flares. Yes, they'll still work, but they do expire. So for marine law, you want to have some that are not expired. They're cheap. Just buy another set and they work. So they're easy to come by. They're easy to get. They store really nice and easy. So a good flare kit's always nice to have. Fire extinguisher. You're always going to want to have a fire extinguisher on board. Boat fires rarely do happen, but the keynote is they do happen. And when they are on a boat, they are very devastating. So have a fire extinguisher, make sure it's in good condition, make sure it's fully charged, because it could save a life. So always have a fire extinguisher on board that's easy to access. Next thing, a marine radio. This will help you get in contact with other people, other boaters out in the water, bridges, things like that. You can even talk to your friends. This is a cheap radio that you can get on Amazon. It works great. It's waterproof. So if you drop it in the water, it gets wet, things like that. You don't have to worry about it. It's good to go. I can tune in, punch in my own channels and talk to my own friends and not have to worry about the marine channels, things like that. So these get great distance along the water. So a good marine radio is a great thing to have. You're also going to want an anchor that is properly sized for your boat. This one is not properly sized for our boat. This is our backup secondary anchor. So this is what we use to throw out the backside to keep the boat from pinwheeling around in the wind. So always want to make sure you have a proper anchor size for your boat. And I'll make a video on what anchors are good and how to know which is properly sized for your boat as well. So always want to make sure you have an anchor for your boat. Another thing we want to talk about is propellers. Yes, I know your boat already has a propeller on it. It goes in the water, and that is okay. This propeller is off our old pontoon boat. It worked. We got terrible fuel economy out of it. It got no speed, and the control on it was very poor because all these edges are very beat up. It's very corroded on the fins. You got some bent tips and things like that. This does not cut through the water very well as it spins. So when you have a good new propeller that cuts very well, you get better handling and control in the water itself. So what you're going to want to do is you can go onto a website that sells propellers. Soulless is a great site. I do like them, their propellers. They work very good for us. You can get cheap cast aluminum ones that work just fine. They're the same as the factory, and they will be night and day better than the old beat up propeller itself. So a keynote with these is, yeah, you have to spend money to get a new propeller, but if it's this beat up, you will get better fuel economy with a new propeller. So you can make up that cost within a summer real quick, and you get some speed out of it too. So another note, when you do a propeller change, another key note of having on your boat is tools. Simple tools to do any basic maintenance. A lot of people like to keep a propeller nut wrench and a pair of needle nose pliers on board just in case they hit some rocks with the propeller. They can change it while they're on the water. Not a big deal, but a lot of people like to have it. If you have an old two-stroke outboard, a lot of people, like I did, I kept a spark plug socket and a wrench and a couple set of spare spark plugs. So if I ever fouled one out when I was on the water, I could quick swap them out and get back on my way without having too many problems. So spare tools of some kind, whatever you think you may need, are a good idea to have. Number 10 on the list is a good GPS. Not always necessary if you're just riding up and down the river, you've known it for all your life, but when you're exploring new territory, a good GPS is good thing to have. Now this is a Garmin 43CB. It's a great unit. It's been working phenomenal for us. The reason I like this one is not only does it have chart plotting, but just on a generic, not like a generic white map that you can get in the cheaper ones, this overlays onto marine maps. So when you watch me go through the water on this thing, it actually overlays exactly where I am in position on the GPS. So if I'm going down a river, it'll actually show me my position in that river per the maps. And on the maps, they all talk about depths of water, so I can actually stay into the deepest part of the water, because sometimes just looking at a river, you're not sure how deep it is. And when you get out into the big lakes and the big waters, things like that, it'll track you throughout the water. So if you're 5-10 miles away from shore and you're not actually sure where shore is, you can simply just follow your line that you drove out in to go right back where you started. So a good GPS unit is a great thing to have. This was easy to install on a boat that didn't actually have it from the beginning. So I always recommend a good GPS. Even if you do a handheld, that's fine. This one has a transducer, so I can actually see water depth, water temperatures, and things like that. So this is what I like to have. It stays on board. You can get nice snap-on covers, things like that. Garmin is a great brand to work with. So that is the top 10 things that you need to get started on your boating adventure this summer. So be sure to like and subscribe to this video. Comment. Let us know what you thought about it. Let us know what else you want to hear about. So until next time, have a great adventure.